So I want to put in here identity, calling, assignment, and anointing. Because here's the reality. As we're sent out into the city, as we are sent out to influence, what does that really mean? And there's a lot of things that are going on, and I try and simplify things. So number one is identity. Now let me just use this as an example, slightly untested example, but your family. So I think identity, if for a minute we could say that you're an apple tree, okay? You're an apple tree. That's your identity. What you then have is that the assignments are kind of like the seasons. So let's put apple tree here. You're an apple tree. And you go through seasons. Assignments are like seasons. And they're the process by which you grow. They're the process by which you endure, by which you overcome. But the goal is that you produce apples. Now, here's what I'm noticing. When we get these confused, we get into trouble. We're the sent ones. We've been sent from heaven to earth to make earth like heaven. And from there will be more specific sense of calling. But our identity is clear. We are the sent ones. Now, the difference between calling and assignment is that calling, I would suggest, is more to do with the fruit. It's more to do with things like the influence we have, the impact we have. Whereas assignments are kind of seasons or steps along the way. Why is this so important? Because I hear some people tell me I was called to a job. I was called to do that. That was probably an assignment. And here's the problem. If you think your assignment's your calling, when your assignment ends, you're spinning. And some of you are probably around that kind of a theme. Here's where I want to challenge you to go. I want to challenge you to drill into your calling. And your calling is more to do with the long-term journey, the impact of your life, the influence you will have, and the outcome. So I'm on, what's funny to me is my mind is I'm a job for life guy. I mean, that's the way I'm wired. I'm that age group. I'm job for life. Apparently, the average length of time that an American male stays in a job today is 4.4 years. Which, if you think about it, if they're going to work for, 45 years? That's 10 careers, 10 jobs, yeah? I'm a job for life mindset, but I'm on kind of fourth career. But my mind is job for life. But all of those have been assignments. So I was called, old school, I was called to ministry when I was 17 years of age. I don't like that phrase anymore. We're all called. We're called to be priests of the Lord, whoever we are, whatever we do, wherever we go. But I was called. As a result of that, I wrote to actually Sue's grandfather to get some advice. What do I do? How do I get ready? He said, go and get some experience working with people. So I trained as a nurse, psychiatric nurse, general nurse. Trained at the best hospital in the world, the London Whitechapel. I'm biased, but it's really good. First assignment, nurse. Second assignment, join the prison service. Why did I join the prison service? Did I hear angels singing? No. Needed to earn more money. Have a baby on the way, need to earn more money. Doubled my pay overnight. One day I'm saving people's lives. The next day I'm locking up people who's taken people's lives. And I doubled my pay. Politics for you. Assignment number 2. Work as a prison officer. End up becoming a prison governor. Assignment number 3. Go to Bethel Reading. Didn't know what was going to happen. Didn't realize I'd end up on the team. Assignment number 3. Assignment number 4. Come back to Europe. But somewhere through all of that is calling. See, I wasn't called to those things. I was led to them. I was prophesied into them. I was directed into them. I responded to need or opportunity. They were assignments. They weren't my calling. My calling's something different. If I narrow my calling down, I feel that my calling is somewhere in the realms of fathering people, fathering organizations. That would be how I would narrow down my calling. So I want to challenge you just to step back and go, okay, I'm a son, I'm a daughter of fresh oil. We're going to finish with anointing in a moment. But I'm a son or a daughter of fresh oil. I know who I am. I'm a son. I'm a daughter. I'm a sent one. I've been sent from heaven to earth to make earth like heaven. That's my identity. And within that, there's a sense of calling. I love change. I love changed lives. It's wrapped up in my calling. You can't escape it. I was a nurse, changing lives. I was a prison governor, changing lives. I'm a pastor, changing lives. I'm a strategist, changing organizations. I'm working with ESBS and believing that I will change nations and change a continent. I love change. It's wrapped up in my calling. But it's different to my assignment. Some of you might have had assignments that ended and you might be spinning. I want to send you back to have a conversation with God about what am I called to? And your calling is more of a long-term journey. It's more about the influence of your life. It's more about the impact of your life. It's longer term. Assignments are steps along the way, that they're seasons, they're equipping, they're growing, they're training, they're adding experience to you. But calling is more the big picture, the long term. What at the end of the day will have been the influence that you've had, the impact of your life, and the outcomes, the fruits. And then finally, down here is anointing. And you see, I think that once we realize that we're all priests. We're not all paid to go to church, but we're all priests. We're all called to be priests. Once we realize that, we can start to see that He will anoint us, both naturally and supernaturally, for our assignments and our calling. And He is releasing, I believe, the sons of fresh oil, the daughters of fresh oil. In other words, what are you anointed to do? What is it that when you show up, when you do something, either you, your skills, your talents, your character achieves things, or God on you achieves things? Because I think that there's a natural and a spiritual element to anointing. You see, I do know, and I think I'll forever be cautious, but I also want to be bold and confident, which is what that song was about being confident. See, if somebody stands in front of Sue and I that can't have children, we have an anointing for that. It gives confidence. God shows up. We expect Him to show up. But in the natural, I also know, take me into a boardroom with a whiteboard and a team, and I have an anointing for that, some of which has come from my experience of the assignments of my life. So I don't think you can completely separate these, but at the same time, I think we need to learn to separate them a little bit, because otherwise we get confused. See, you can't afford to let your identity come out of your assignment. So I know that I lived for a season where my identity was as a result of my assignment, because I was prison governor. So I'd got my identity from what I was doing and the status of what I had. So we have to be careful we don't get our identity from our assignment. But we also need to be careful that we don't make our assignment our calling. So I want to challenge you to ask some questions. To ask some questions about what you're called to do. What's the long-term journey of your life? What are the influences that you want to have? What's the impact that you want your life to have? What's the fruits, the outcomes? See, Jesus had all of this. He knew who he was without any question. He knew why he came. He knew where he was going, and he knew the impact. Whoever believes in me shall not perish, but have everlasting life. He understood all of it.